YouTube, we got an Uproar version 2, Tower Hobbies Uproar. We started building this a few months back, and then we kind of paused for a little while, but I finished it tonight. I had to put 2 servos in the fuselage for the elevator and rudder, and then do the linkage rods and a control horn in the back and the tail wheel. So the Uproar is done. I got to put the motor back on, but it's done to the point where we can do the AR636 programming from A to Z. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to mount the 636 in here. We're going to set it up with a DX7S, and then use the Spektrum Programmer app on a tablet or your phone, and we'll completely program the 636 with Safe Select, and then we'll do a maiden flight together. Now we'll do it step by step. We'll go as slow as we need to, or whatever, to make sure everybody knows how to connect and to the app and how to download it and all that stuff. And then we'll do some questions along the way, and then maybe a month from now we'll do a maiden flight once everybody's on the same page and we've all figured it out together. So that'll be the plan. So coming up next right now is how I went about putting the servos in. If you want to win this jet, all you have to do is subscribe, click the notification bell and the like button. Then check back with me from time to time and see my new videos. Once we get to 1,000, we're going to do a drawing. I had a drawing at 100 and only 30% signed up. With those odds, it could be a 1 in 300 chance. Subscribe. Check me out, guys. Alright, YouTube. Our Uproar version 2, we need to pick up where we left off. We need to get a couple servos into the fuselage for the rudder and the elevator. Here in the fuselage, where we left off, the servos go in this square right here. I've already made, I guess you'd call it an adapter, or I put this piece of small, we can call it plywood or whatever you want to call this little piece of wood. It was a strip just like this right side, and I glued a bigger strip onto the left side, and what that did was made this opening right here a little bit smaller, because the servos we chose to use were smaller than the hole that was already there. Give you an idea what we got going on there. So this has 2 push rods for the elevators, one for each side, that will come out of these 2 tubes here, push rod and push rod. And then this tube right here is where the other push rod for the rudder goes. So the objective today is to get 1 servo in for the rudder, if I can get it in there. Just going to set it in there real quick so you can get an idea of what we're going to do. We're going to put 1 like that for the elevators, and that one will run both push rods for each elevator half, and then we'll put another servo around in this area right here for the rudder. So let's get to cracking. 2 push rods for the elevators, 1 for each half. Then it has this real cool little bridge joining section, so that will combine both elevator halves to 1 servo. And then we're going to have the rudder push rod coming up also, so we need to put that kind of configuration into the fuselage. Right. Each push rod for the elevator half. 1, 2, and they go just about like so. And then for the rudder, that one will go down in that slot. Then we'll see what it looks like here. Just spun around. See the idea now, guys? So we got the two push rods right here that'll come to that little bridge thing. So we'll have one servo sitting here and the other one sitting there. Let's see what it looks like here with the servo in there. Let's see here. Like so. This other servo got a really long wire, and we're going to cut it and put a new end on it. But for right now, something like that, or we might flip one around the other way. If we do, I might have to, if we make one of them spin the other direction, the way the wire is right here, it might hit right here. So we might have to do a little whittling, little wood whittling. It's no big deal. Maybe a little whittling. No, it actually kind of fit in there okay. I think that's going to be our best choice. That way the servo horns aren't, hitting each other. Let me line something up like that. All right, let's center the servos so we can get that done out of the way. I got a little cheap and expensive servo tester here. I'll plug each of them in. And then we'll just make sure they're working. That is a long servo lead right there. Right now, the little tester's on manual, so we'll just work it back and forth. And we see they're both working. Then I'm going to hit the button to center them, neutral. This one on the left is actually already facing the right direction. We'll probably use a different arm, but at least we know, for our installation settings right now. And the one on my right needs to be centered. We need both them facing in towards one another. Just like so. So the one on the right, and my right, is going to be for the push rods for the elevator, and the one on our left is for the rudder. So we'll just drop the screw in there for now. And this is just so we can line everything up before we drill holes to mount it. I've got them about where I want them. They're kind of basically as far spread out as they'll go. This rod right here is for the rudder, and you can see it's got a little bit of give in it. But with the servo all the way to the edge and the little bit of give that the tube has, it'll line up good for either the outside or the inside. Or I'll end up probably changing this arm anyways to a newer one. And then these two right here are for the elevators, one for each half of it. And then there's a little bridge that goes here and has one rod that'll run both of them. So that'll work out fine. So let's get a little twist drill and some bits and drill a couple holes. All right, so we got some mounting screws and washers, and they come with the brass eyelet. The eyelet goes right there on the side of the servo. First you put on the rubber portion of it, then you slide the brass in. But let's figure out what drill bit we need. And we want to get a drill bit about half the size of the screw. Getting technical with the sizes, don't know. We're just going to get one about half. And then we'll drill the hole, and we'll run the screw in there, and then we'll back the screw out and take the servos out, and then we'll drop either some CA glue in there, or just some kind of glue. That'll harden up the threads. So maybe this right here will kind of give us an idea, let you guys see. Yeah, that's pretty dang close. We'll go with that one. And these little hand drills here. Some of you guys know the answer to this, but I don't know why they're called a pin vise. That just doesn't make any sense to me at all. You know, the little drill bit case is called a hands twist drill or something, but in some of these manuals for these planes, they'll be called a pin vise. I mean, I guess you can call it a pin vise if you call this drill bit a pin, and then the jaws or the collet or whatever you want to call it, the vise, but kind of interesting. So let's get our servos back in place where we want them. We'll just make a little mark with the drill bit, and then we can pull them out and move them really. So I can kind of see that they're square and kind of up against the side where they need to be. Just take like that, and I'll just make a mark. I'll twist it a time or two. I'll be able to see it in the wood, and then without moving it, do the other side. And if you can see your marks, great. All right, so there's that one. And then I'm going to try to hold them. I'm kind of going to the outside of the holes too. That makes any sense. I'm not worried about getting it directly centered, because with the rubber and then the brass eyelet going through, there's some wiggle room right there. All right, so I know where they are. I don't know if you guys can see them or not. Take that out. We'll drill the holes. We'll run the screws in there, and then we'll put some CA or something in there to strengthen them up. One of them is right here, and it doesn't take much. You know, this wood is really thin. Depending on how sharp your drill bit is and stuff too. I won't bore you guys with all this. I'll run this in and then we'll grab some glue. So I just went and got my glue. I keep it in the refrigerator. This is some thin CA. Let's see if it'll still pour. Look at that. Keeping it in the refrigerator, it didn't harden up. I don't know where I saw that, but I just learned that not too long ago, to keep it in the fridge like that. And that was definitely good advice wherever that came from. So I've got 4 holes here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to put a drop of this thin CA in each one. That'll harden up the hole, so that when we put the screw in there, it doesn't just split the wood right open. And then I'm going to run a screw down in there. Some people do it in different orders. Now, there's no, in my opinion, there's no right or wrong way. You can run the screw in there and hope you don't split the wood, and then put some CA glue around the threads, or do it in the opposite order. It doesn't matter. Try this again here. All right, we're almost ready to put the servos in the fuselage and be done with it. Got the Z-bend pliers here to put a Z in the push rod, like so, and we'll make sure that it fits. Actually, we're going to do it up from the bottom. It's going to be like that number. Like so. And then this idea is like this. I'm going to have to trim it, I'm sure. Yep, have to trim it big time. Let's see where it needs to be. About like that. All right, so get this guy in there. Might need to check to see if they're still centered or not, but that's the plan right there. Have to do a little tweaking and stuff. I mean, it might, the rods might be maybe angled up a little bit or something right now. But that's close enough for now. And then this rod needs a Z-bend in it as well. We need to figure out exactly where we're going to put it. Tell you what, I'm going to leave that one like that. I might just run two collars next to it, or put a Z-bend in here and then a rod, and then lock them together with some lock collars. I might do that. Let me think for 1 second. All right, the servos are in. They need fine tuning, of course, and you know, the linkage rod's adjusted and all that, but servos are installed for the rudder and both elevator halves. And then I'll put the lid on and show you the other lid on, and then show you guys the back side there. Kind of a chintzy little door, if you ask me. Is what it is. And then the front door. I took the motor off. I'll tell you guys about that later on. And then see if I can spin the whole thing around here. I think I want to show you guys that servo, that little splitter thing. I think that is the neatest deal. This right here is just I've never seen that before, and I really like that. It's got 3 grub screws. It's a plastic block, and it connects, you know, 3 rods. So we got a push rod for each side of the elevator, plus we got one that's driving off the servo, and that is just a nice way to connect them all. I've never seen that before, and let me show you guys how this tail wheel is set up also. I think that is just a slick deal right here. So you got the part that screws to the back of the fuselage, just like on several planes, right? And then you got the rod that's coming out of it. And look how it clamps onto the bottom of the rudder. I think that is just slick. Something so simple can work so perfect. And then as it turns, the rod can slide in and out. I mean, that's a better design than the double springs, and that is slick right there. That's perfect. That looks really good to me. So that's how the elevator push rods connect. And then that's how the rudder connects. Well, that's all for this one. The servos are in. We just got the landing gear and the motor, a couple other little stuff, and then we'll get going with the 636 videos. And we got plenty more of the beginner series stuff to help everybody out that's getting going in the awesome hobby. Well, all right, guys. Hey, subscribe if you haven't, and ring the bell so you don't miss my next video. And until next time, you'll see me here. Yeah, there it is, right there. All right.